What's going on, guys? Nick Addesso Poker here. Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode of No Limit Texas Hold'em 101. And on this week, we're going to be going over 3-betting. Specifically, what size do we use for 3-betting? That's one of the biggest questions I get asked when it comes to 3-betting, and I'm going to be able to answer it for you. Add some clarity as far as the bet sizing goes. You know, poker is a very meticulous game, and when it comes to 3-betting, it's no different. So we have select sizing that we use for the game theory optimal play. GTO, that's what all these new schoolers are using. That's what I use, and that's what I'm going to teach you. So before we get into it, I have two asks. One, if you could go ahead and hit this video with a like, that would be greatly appreciated. It helps it get out to more viewers. And two, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, if you could go ahead and do so that we can get everything together, get more people onto here, and then grow the channel from there. I really appreciate all the support thus far, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get into that video so that we can teach you how to 3-bet. Let's go. Alright guys, now we're going to be able to go over that bet sizing for 3-betting. Now, this is one of my favorite topics. I love to talk about 3-betting. So whether it's, me having aces or me having, a marginal hand, I like to 3-bet. It's something that I like to do. It's a good thing to do as far as, knocking opponents out, getting the pots bigger so that you can take it down at a later street, all that kind of thing. So with that being said, the rule that I go off of is right behind me. It's the 4-5 rule, and that's one of my strategies that I use, okay? Now, as far as the 4-5 rule, I'll give you the gist of it, basically. So, with the 4-5 rule, what you're going to do is when your opponent raises, if you're in position, meaning like let's say you're on the button and you're 3-betting the hijack, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to use a 4x raise. So, as an example, if your opponent raises to $7, you're going to make it $28, okay? Then, if you're out of position, you're going to do a 5x raise, okay? So, if your opponent raises to 7, you're going to make it 35, okay? And out of position would be like, for example, if you're in the small or big blind and you're facing an under the gun raise, that's when you're going to make it the 5x raise. Now, you're going to ask me, why do we do this? Why do we have to go so hefty? Why can't we do the old school version? And by old school, what I mean is, we're just going to go in and throw a 2.5, 3.5x raise. And, if we're feeling really strong, we're going to go and throw in a 3.5x raise. Now, what I'm here to tell you is it's not necessarily that that's, wrong or whatnot. It's absolutely wrong. And the reason why it's wrong is because part of playing modern poker, GTO, game theory optimal play, is being able to put your opponent on a range. And with 3-betting, that allows you to put them on a range. But specifically, by doing heftier 3-betting, you're able to put them on a more condensed range when they call. So that way you're able to play more optimally post-flop. That'll allow you to play better on later streets when you get into the turn, when you get into the river. Because then, you know what? You can think back and say, okay, I 3-bet to 5x, and they called. And then now there's this straight card out there, but now you're like, they shouldn't have too many of these cards in their range, so I'm going to make the call. Or vice versa, they should have, all the kings in this scenario, so it's very possible they have a set. I'm going to fold. So that's basically where it comes into play. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do here is we're going to use a scenario on the board behind me to go ahead and show you exactly how this would play out. We're going to go over the positioning, we're going to go over the math on it, and we're going to go over the sizing choice. And then from there, you can use this type of scenario to go use on the felt or online to better help your game. So, the scenario is we're playing a 1-2 cash game using this 4-5 method. We're on the dealer button and we have ace-king suited, big slick suited of diamonds, all right? What a great hand, what a dream to have it on the button, right? So we are facing against a hijack open. So everybody folded to the hijack and they're opening. All right, and there's $3 in the pot currently, and the reason being is the small blind and the big blind for the $1, $2 blinds. All right, so now that we know that information, we can get into the hand. So everybody folds to the hijack, they're gonna raise to $7, okay? Now, when they raise to $7, that makes the pot $10, okay? Now, we're sitting here, we flip up our cards, and we have ace-king suited. Now, because we're in position, what are we gonna do? We're gonna make it 4x. So 4x would be $28. Now's here we're gonna get into the math aspect, okay? So what we're going to do is show you exactly why we choose these sizings, okay? So when you make it 28, what that does is with the initial amount that was in the pot, now your money's out there, so it makes the pot, what's 28 plus 10? That's $38, okay? So here's how we're gonna go ahead and figure out how this makes the opponent get into some trouble, okay? And this also will help you, if you're forward thinking, this will also help you think about what you need to call a 3-bet, but we'll get into that in a later video. That's just a little sneak peek for you. So here we are, there's $38 in the pot. The opponent has 7 out there, which means that they need to call 21 more, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take $38, add $21, that looks like a 7, $21, okay? And that will bring you out to $59, okay? Now, so that's $59 with the opponent's 21 that they have to call, okay? Now, here's what you're gonna do, is you're gonna calculate, okay, $21, which is what your opponent has to call, into what the pot would be if they do call, which is $59, okay? Now, if you divide that, what you'll find is it comes out to be 35. And what we break that into is 35% equity our opponent needs to have in order to call. Okay, so what do they have to have? What kind of ranges can we put them on? So essentially, we're putting them into a situation where they have to have very playable hands, okay? So that's gonna take out the ace rags, the queen rags, the king rags, all of the rags, all right? What it's gonna do is it's gonna condense their range to where when we get post flop, we can play more optimally, okay? So by doing this math, by understanding the math of this, okay, then when you go into the 5x raise, well now, you know, they're gonna need like 40 to 43% depending on the equity. They're gonna need about 40% in order to call when you're out of position because you made it 5x. So now you can put them on an even more condensed range. So basically what this does, it allows you to play more optimally post-flop. Also, it'll allow you to steal some pots pre-flop, okay? And also, I know I've mentioned this, but the biggest thing is also being very consistent with it, okay? When you're bluffing, so say you have, you know, like ace rag, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna 3-bet this, try to take this down. You wanna use the same sizing method, okay? Now, there's one caveat to this. The one thing that comes in is there's obviously going to be players that are more stubborn. So you're gonna have players that just don't wanna muck their cards. So what you have to do with those type of players, and this is just kind of the one-off situations, is up the size. You know, maybe go to a 6-7 rule or a 5-6 rule, something like that. But as a general rule, whether you're playing in cash games or tournaments, I like to use the 4-5 rule. So, with that being said, that's basically all you're gonna need to know as far as 3-betting, you know, with sizing. Now, ranges is kind of different. I can't really tell you guys exactly what ranges to have. However, the sizing part is covered for you guys. So what I would like to say is thank you so much for watching. We do have some significantly awesome videos coming out, you know, moving forward. Just as a sneak peek, I did come in 3rd place out of 140 in an online tournament recently. And, you know, I played nearly perfect. Obviously, nobody's perfect, but I played nearly perfect GTO poker in that. And I'm going to have some things to go over with you guys so that we can go ahead and learn from those type of things, that we can see some of my strategy, things like that, that we can go over. And then also we're gonna have more videos like this where it's just random topics that I want to teach you guys. So thank you again for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks, guys.